This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, good evening guys, all of you. So today in Angular 8 we are going to discuss introduction to Angular, and we are going to discuss history of Angular. What are the few notable features of Angular? Okay, right? And how Angular is used for developing dynamic web applications. So these are the topics what we are going to discuss today. Introduction to Angular, history of Angular, features of Angular in the new versions when compared to the old versions. Is it okay, all of you? Right. So let's start with, first of all, introduction to Angular. Right. So coming to the introduction to Angular, okay. So what is Angular? So basically, Angular is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Okay. So what is Angular? Angular is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Okay. Now, so let us understand web applications. So web applications are nothing but websites. Okay. So websites examples mean something like www.fb.com, www.yahoo.com, and next www.gmail.com. So technically we call websites as web application. Okay, so technically we call website as web application. Right, so here Angular is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Is it okay, all of you? Now what is this dynamic? Okay, so dynamic here means data in website changes with respect to three things. Okay, so data in website changes with respect to three things. First one with respect to time, second one with respect to location, and third one with respect to user. Okay, so time to time we can say news updates. So news updates changes from time to time. Okay, and the best example for this is Google News. So in Google News, information or data in a website changes with respect to time. Next, location to location. Best example is weather report. Okay, so example for this is we have Google weather report also. So Google weather. So here weather report changes from location to location, and user to user we have something like here. Okay, so what changes from user to user? So we have email services, we have social networking services. So these services, okay, data or information in email or social networking changes from time to user to user. So if a one person logins with their user ID, they'll be getting their mails, and if one person logins with their ID to the social networking, they'll be getting their updates and posts. Okay, the best example here is Gmail. Okay, and next Facebook. Okay, so using this Angular we can develop dynamic web applications, and now we call Angular as TypeScript framework. Okay, so to develop web applications in Angular we require TypeScript. Okay, so what is this TypeScript? TypeScript is nothing but scripting or programming in HTML web pages. Okay, so scripting or programming in HTML web pages, because okay, HTML mainly concentrates how to display data using tags. Okay, using tags, HTML mainly concentrates how to display the data. Next, coming to CSS. So CSS use is, it makes HTML data more stylish. It makes HTML data more stylish. So CSS is used to make HTML data more stylish. Okay, so that is colors. Okay, styles, etc. Next, so basically if you want to make programming, we have to use scripting. So JavaScript or TypeScript. Okay, it is used as programming in web page. Programming in web pages. So if you want to perform any programming in web pages, then we have to go for JavaScript or TypeScript. So but Angular is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web application. Now what do you mean by this framework? Okay, so here framework. So framework means runtime library plus runtime environment. Okay, so framework means runtime library plus runtime environment. So Angular provides runtime library. So runtime library is predefined modules and predefined components and predefined services. So we can use this runtime library and we can make our coding simple and easy. Okay, so this library is something like packages in Java. Okay, next we have namespaces in .NET. Okay, and here we have modules. Okay, so here library means modules. Library means modules in TypeScript. So these are same like packages in Java. Okay, and namespaces in .NET. So we have predefined classes and methods in those libraries. So here you have predefined classes and its members, so which can be used in our TypeScript programming, and then we can make our coding simple and easy. Now what is this runtime environment? So runtime environment means it provides us environment, okay, to run Angular applications. How? First, it will compile our TypeScript program into JavaScript, and this JavaScript helps us in doing programming in a web page. So right, all of you. So this is what do you mean by framework. So it is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Okay, right. And next thing, Angular uses three things. One, HTML, two, CSS, okay, and three, JavaScript. So as we already know that TypeScript is a superscript of JavaScript. Everything in JavaScript can be done in TypeScript. Okay, so here Angular also uses HTML, CSS, and TypeScript along with JavaScript also. Right, guys? So, next thing, very important point, Angular itself is written in TypeScript. Right, guys? So, Angular itself is written in TypeScript. Okay, so these TypeScript is compiled into JavaScript for displaying information in a browser. Okay, so every Angular application is written in TypeScript. So that TypeScript is converted into JavaScript, and this JavaScript displays information, dynamic information. So we can call it as dynamic information or data in a web page. So dynamic information or data in a web page or browser. Okay, so this is a small introduction to Angular. It is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Right, all of you? So TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Right. So let us now understand what are the notable features which we have it in Angular. Okay, so these are some notable features, HTTP services. So these HTTP services allows us to communicate with database technologies or server side technologies. If you want to get any dynamic information, we have to use HTTP services. We have animations also here. So we have material designs also, which is latest one in developing web applications. Material designs, okay, which is very popular in Android applications. Okay, next auto completion features, navigations. Okay, next toolbars, next menus, next routings. Okay, so we use basically routings for single page applications. Okay, right, and next we have components, which are building blocks for developing our Angular applications. And next we also have services. Okay, so these services are nothing but our reusable components, reusable functionality in our Angular. So these are some notable features which allows us to develop dynamic web applications. Okay, HTTP services, animations, material designs, auto completion features, navigations, toolbars, menus, routings, components, and services, etc. Okay, right. So next let us understand, okay, what are the prerequisites which you should have to develop a Angular application. So the 5 prerequisites for developing Angular applications are as follows. Okay, first one, we should have basic knowledge on HTML. 2, CSS. 3, JavaScript. So we have almost all discussed TypeScript completely. So in that JavaScript is also included. So nothing to worry about that. Okay, if you don't know JavaScript also, because most 99% of our coding is based on TypeScript with classes and objects. Okay, next DOM. So DOM means document object model. So representation of HTML page in the form of tree structure is known as DOM. I'm going to give you some basics of DOM whenever it is necessary for us in different topics. Document object model. So these are the 5 prerequisites for developing any Angular applications. Okay. So first one HTML, second one CSS, third one JavaScript, fourth one TypeScript, next fifth one DOM. Okay, right. So the 5 prerequisites for Angular application. Right, guys. Okay. Next we'll understand what is the history of Angular applications. Okay, what is the history of Angular? Okay, right. So basically most of us understand, okay, Angular JS is the first version of Angular. No, okay, Angular JS is not the first version of Angular. Okay, but still Angular JS is known as Angular 1. So Angular JS is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. Okay, so Angular JS is JavaScript framework for developing web applications, whereas Angular is a TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web application. So it is something like this. Okay, so to be more precise, I can give you one small example: Java versus .NET. Okay, in Java versus .NET, so both of them has object oriented programming. So in both of them we have object oriented programming. Okay, but difference comes in programming style. So difference is programming syntaxes. Is it okay, all of you? So we have abstraction, we have encapsulation, we have inheritance, we have polymorphism in both Java and .NET, but difference comes in programming syntaxes. Okay, so here AJS is a JavaScript framework for developing dynamic web applications. It was invented by Misko Hevery in 2009, and in 2012 it was taken by Google Corporation or Google Company, right? So it is a JavaScript framework. So whereas Angular is a TypeScript framework, and this TypeScript framework, we got the first version in 2016, and it was known as Angular 2. It was known as Angular 2, and most of the people think that Angular 2 is the second version, whereas Angular JS is the first version. This is completely wrong. Okay, Angular JS is JavaScript framework, whereas Angular 2 plus are known as TypeScript framework for developing dynamic web application. Next, Angular 3 is skipped. The reason why it is skipped is there was a small misalignment problem with respect to routing module version, and that is the reason why it was skipped. Is it okay, all of you? Okay, so due to the routing module versioning problem, Angular 3 is skipped. Right, and next in 2017 March we got Angular 4. Next 2017 November 1st we got Angular 5, and next May 4th 2018 we got Angular 6, and 2018 October 18 we got Angular 7, and the latest version of Angular 8 we got it on May 28th, exactly 1 month before 2019. Okay, so this is how 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 we have different versions of Angular, and in all these things it is updated with different features and new features for developing dynamic web application. So to develop dynamic web application we use Angular, and this Angular is completely written in TypeScript, whereas Angular JS is written in JavaScript. Is it okay, all of you? Right. So next, one important point when we are discussing with the versions, all versions of Angular are backward compatible. Okay, they are backward compatible means whenever you get a new version, in the new version we can also use old versions features, old version library. It is fully compatible with backward previous versions. Okay, and Google has promised that it is going to provide every 6 months a new version of Angular. Okay, so whenever a new version is released, some of the old features will be deprecated and added with a new library. Okay, so the old version, okay, old features will be deprecated. So deprecated here means outdated. So when they are outdated, it doesn't mean that, okay, we should not use them. We can use them 100% with a new library, okay, and small changes in the syntaxes. That's it. Is it okay, all of you? So Google has promised that every 6 months we are going to get the new version of, okay, Angular, and it has also promised us that in the month of October we are going to get Angular 9 also. Is it okay, all of you? Right. So this is what is Angular versions backward compatibility whenever new versions are expected. Next, the next important point is Angular is purely based on components and services. Okay, so Angular, we can call it as Angular TypeScript. TypeScript framework is purely based on components and services. Now, what are these components? So, components are nothing but classes, and inside these classes will have properties, will have functions, and will have constructors. Is it okay, all of you? So, Angular TypeScript is purely based on components and services, whereas Angular JS is based on MVC architecture. So MVC architecture means model view controller. MVC stands for model view controller. Right, guys? So model means data, view means presentation of data, controller. So controller means logics. Okay. So these three are separated in AngularJS, whereas in Angular TypeScript components, inside the component means, so component means class, and inside this class we are going to group together data and functionality as a single unit. Right, all of you? Yes. So this is what is component based development using Angular TypeScript and MVC based development using Angular JS for dynamic web applications. Right. Next we'll understand, okay, what are the different enhancements which were done from Angular 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. So if is supported in Angular, whereas from Angular 4 we got if else also. So both if else can be used, okay, in Angular. So what is this if else? We already know that, okay, it is used for our testing the condition branching control structure. So how to use this in Angular? For this we'll have some directives ng if else. So how to use that? We'll see that in respective chapters. Okay. Next, as keyword can be used in for loop from Angular 4 onwards. Okay. So as keyword can be used in for loop from Angular 4 onwards. Next, animation package is a separate one from Angular 4. Okay, so the what is that animation package or module? It is @Angular animations. Before it was @core animations. So this is what is a new upgradation in the library, okay, from Angular 4 onwards. Next, condition based animation disable feature means we can disable the animations based on a condition. So this feature was introduced from Angular 6. Okay. Next, we can use one ng template tag instead of template tag because template tag is already available in HTML. So templates we have a separate chapter only. There I'm going to discuss ng template. Next, from Angular 4 we require TypeScript 2.2 plus, and the latest TypeScript what we are using is 3.5.1. okay. Next, So we have a pipe. So pipe is nothing but filter. So this filter was introduced in Angular 4 plus. Welcome to Angular with a pipe symbol, title case. Okay, so title case means only first letter will become capital. So this is a new pipe which is introduced in Angular 4 onwards. Okay, next we got HTTP client component. Okay, we got a HTTP client component when compared to HTTP before Angular 4. So this is very much simplified to make uh, web services, to call the web services or to make communication with server side technologies and getting the dynamic data. Next, from Angular 4 onwards, the applications became very small and fast to development. Okay, so the complexity of the application is reduced and it has become fast for developers for developing the applications. Next, coming to Angular 5. So in Angular 5, progressive web applications were introduced. Next, in Angular 5, material designs were enhanced. Okay. Next, in Angular 6, we got ng update, ng add, rsjx6. Now, what is this rxjs? Okay, fine. We'll discuss that. Okay, in the later chapters. Okay, guys. Next, from Angular 7, application performance is increased and we got a new feature which is virtual scrolling. Okay, so virtual scrolling feature was introduced in Angular 7. Next, from Angular 7, we got support for Typescript 3.4, RxJS 6.3, and Node 10 is also supported from Angular 7. And finally, in Angular 8, what are the new features? Fast rebuilding time. So whenever you do any changes to the application and try to build your application, okay, it will be done very quick and fast. So this is performance update. And we got some enhancements in templates. We'll see that in templates chapter. And next we got some enhancements in templates type checking. So data type checking in templates, we'll see that in chapter. And Angular 8 is fully backward compatible with the previous version 7.6.5.4.2. Okay, so these are some notable enhancements which were done from Angular 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, all of you? So that is what is all about today's session, guys. So today's session we have discussed introduction to Angular, history of Angular, and features of Angular with the new versions. Okay, right. So tomorrow I'm going to discuss how to set up environment for Angular and how to create a first application. Okay, how to create a Angular application in our system. Is it okay, all of you? So that is all about for the today's session, guys. So thank you for listening to this session. If you have any queries, you can put me that in the chat window one by one. Thank you, guys.